Delta. Today, we'll discover who stands tallest among a talented field of anglers from all over the country. It's the BFL All American, starting right now on FLW Outdoors. Hello, America, and welcome to Mobile, Alabama. This is the 2003 BFL All American, and I'm Carlton Wing.
I'm Taylor Carr.
And I'm Charlie Evans. We're here at Mobile Tensall Delta for a shootout of the best.
All right, and this is the best. 10 anglers, 10 finalists have taken the stage, and this truly is the national championship for the weekend angler.
Absolutely. Over 33,000 anglers fishing across the United States in 26 different divisions, made it through the regionals and then to the All-American. 2 days of tough fishing. These are their 10 finalists. One of these will win $100,000.
And talk about a big deal for these guys on stage. As Charlie said, it started with 33,000 down to these 10. It's quite prestigious. Of course, their trip is paid for. They get the honor of being in the All-American, and somebody is going to walk away with a ticket for $100,000.
Well, coming up on FLW Outdoors, you will see the shootout style weigh-in. Each of these anglers will bring up their fish, and one by one, they'll weigh in or weigh out until one is left standing. We'll have that weigh-in and a recap of the exciting action from the Mobile Tensall Delta coming up on FLW Outdoors. Welcome back to Mobile, Alabama, everybody. This is the 2003 BFL All-American. Our 10 finalists surround us on the stage, and this is a great opportunity for the weekend angler to possibly make a profession out of this.
Absolutely. In our structure in FLW Outdoors, our weekend anglers on the BFL, once they make it to this step, they make the top 30 in their division, they have the opportunity to move up into our Ever Start series, which is our semi-pro league. That more time investment, more dollar investment, and from there they can earn their way up to the Walmart FLW Tour, the very top of the sport. But for these 10 anglers here, one of them will be champion, and they can leap over the Ever Start Series all the way straight into the Walmart FLW Tour starting next year. A great opportunity, but tough conditions here to get there.
Oh, man, this water was up there, and the Mobile Tensall Delta was tough. The conditions we saw the first couple days, guys were going all over the place, and not many big fish out there. Well, Tony Christian had one nice one, but really not too many big fish.
That's right. We had 45 boaters take on these waterways. 10 finalists made that cut, Taylor.
Yeah, now 45 guys down to 10. Day one was critical, very important. Here's a look back at day one at the BFL All-American.
BFL All-American.
And look what he found out there.
All-America, day one.
All right, Tim, what does it mean to you anglers to make the All-American?
Well, it's pretty much what we work for all year. For me, it's a dream come true. It's something I remember watching, I think it's the 1984 All-American when Shaw Grigsby won it down on Toho, seeing that when I was probably 9 years old or whatever, and or actually 6 years old, and so I want to be there. I want to be there.
You know, you work for it all year long, so I mean, this is the whole purpose of fishing the BFL is to make it here.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. We're coming to you from the Mobile Tensall Delta. This is day one of the BFL All-American. It's the national championship for the weekend anglers. We've got a great field of anglers competing. Guys like Creston, Illinois' Curtis Samo. He's in his 6th All-American, and that experience will come in handy. What does the higher water situation do for your fishing?
Well, I had part of my strategy before I come down this time of year is to fish the current out in the main river, and I had several areas out there that I was going to plan on fishing, but the water's so muddy and the current's pretty strong now, and what happens is it just expands the whole area, and a lot of these fish go back up into all this cover. I believe it shuts down a lot of the fish from feeding when it gets dirty like that, and they just kind of go into a shut-off mode. So my strategy since this has happened is to come into some of these backwater areas where the water's a little more stable, it's cleaner water, it's got bait fish.
This is your 6th BFL All-American. What have you learned from the previous 5 that can put you in a situation to capitalize on it here for number 6?
I think I'm a little bit over the All-American jitters that a lot of the guys face, you know, the first All-American they come to, but I think that's the biggest key is just relax and fish and know what you know how to do, and don't let all the media hype and those other things get to you, and just fish.
Now here's an angler whose name you know. It's J.T. Kenny from Frostburg, Maryland. He has won an FLW event, made a top 10 this year. We just missed on a fish.
And I'm trying to kill the anchor, man.
But J.T., you've qualified for the All-American. It's still a very important thing for you.
I'll tell you what, I mean, this is an awesome deal for the weekend angler. And not just the weekend angler, for anybody that wants to fish this deal. And the other thing is, I mean, it's just kind of like the prestige of making this. I mean, the All-American's kind of what started this whole thing, and you've heard about it all your life, and then to actually make it, you know, even though I'm fishing other circuits and stuff now too, it's still just a big deal. It's always been a dream. The way the whole delta is really so high and muddy right now, I think clear water is a really big factor. It's a better one there. That's what I'm talking about. I think that fish hit about as soon as it went in the water. There's a little clump of shade right there. There really wasn't any wood. And a lot of times when you get flat, calm, sunny like this, they don't have the cover that you've been catching them off of. They'll just sit on a little bit of shade.
And JT, you qualified by fishing BFLs last year. Are you also fishing them in 2003?
I've signed up for all of them. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do all of them. I think there's a Everstart conflict in there, a Northern Everstart. But I'd like to. I love doing it. It's a really great trail.
It was a long day for JT with only one other keeper and a first day total of 214, which doesn't sound like much. But fishing was tough all around on the Delta, or as Jesse Drame would say,
Sporadic. I mean, very sporadic.
Drame was a pre-tournament favorite, but he only had one day one fish. It was that kind of day for much of the field. Notable exceptions, though, Butch Cartez of Roanoke, Virginia with 6'6", Mississippian Gary Brown with 7'2", and Tony Christian of Hull, Georgia with 8'14", including a monster that weighed 6 pounds 2 ounces.
You're not going to catch them every time, but I try to use a bait that's designed for big fish. I fished a spinnerbait all day long, and then I changed up and went to a jig from 12 o'clock on, and I caught those 2.
With the projected cut at only about 8 pounds, nobody's out of the race as we head to day 2. And that's next from the All-American in Mobile. And we also have a co-angler competition at the All-American, and this guy won it yesterday. It's Scott Sevier from Corbin, Kentucky. How much did you win?
$50,000.
$50,000 as a co-angler? You had no fish the first day. Could you believe the day you had yesterday?
You know, after the first day, I was, you know, a little bit disappointed, and I came in the second day, and I said, I'm just going to fish, and I went out and had a great day.
You are also a Walmart employee in London. What have your in London, Kentucky, what have your folks back home said to you?
Well, you know, I've called him, and I've told him, and I also called my store, and I told them, I don't think nobody's believed me yet. You know, my family, I said, I won your line. I said, no, I really did. And, you know, once I get home, though, I'll have to show them my big check I got.
You think when they see this on TV, they'll believe it, Scott?
Yeah, once they see this, they'll believe it.
Congratulations, $50,000. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
That's Scott Sevier from Corbin, Kentucky. He won the co-angler title. When we come back, you'll meet the anglers on FLW Outdoors.
All America, day 2.
My goal is to make the top 10. If I make the top 10, I'll be the happiest camper in the world.
Just keep my bait in the water, and hopefully I get 1 or 2 good bites, because the cutoff's just 4 pounds, so a guy just needs a couple good bites, he'd be in that top 10.
I got to make it till tomorrow, or else there's no sense to save anything.
And welcome back to Walmart FLW Outdoors. This is day 2 of the BFL All American from the Mobile Tensaw Delta. And this is the day 1 leader, Tony Christian from Hull, Georgia. He qualified through the Savannah River Division. He had 8 pounds 14 ounces yesterday. He already has 1 nice fish in the boat today. Tony is in great shape. We'll come back and hear from him in a bit. But first, let's check in with Carlton Wing.
This is one of the guys that caught him yesterday, Mississippi's Gary Brown. We are just about 10 minutes from the launch site in an area called Bay Minette Creek. This was a good area for Gary yesterday. And Gary, you caught him so well that you don't have to gamble to make that run north.
Even down here, it's flooded a lot higher than normal. We're having a lot more higher water than what we usually do.
Brown's day got off to a bad start when what looked like his first keeper slipped through his hands, almost literally. You've got quite a reputation on this waterway. What is it that you're able to figure out that helps you be so successful here?
I'd relate most of it back to, I grew up on Pascagoula River, and that's where we live, and it's the same type water down there, and most of my fishing I grew up was in the marsh, the lower parts of the river. That's 90% of the time that's what I do. And it's basically the same system over here. You find the grass and get on the edge of that grass, you can normally catch them.
Talk a little bit about the technique. Obviously, you're going for the topwater bite. How long do you think you'll stay with that?
I caught 4 fish on buzzbait yesterday, and 3 of them was in the last hour on the buzzbait. I'll pretty much throw it all day long. That and a snag with Sally is what I caught my fish on. When wind picks up in here and we'll get some ripples on the water, I'll pick that Sally up and throw it.
One way Gary keeps his fishing skills sharp is competing in local tournaments with his mother, Ruby, under a unique moniker. Now, rumor has it that you are the weaker link of Team Mama, is that right?
That's right. That's my partner.
That's got to be a fun deal.
It is. It's a blast. She's been fishing with me for years, and we fish pretty much all the team tournaments and buddy tournaments back home together. It's a pretty unique deal. Wouldn't have it no other way.
Talk a little bit about what it's like to be in the BFL All American.
This is my first one, and it's been a great experience. I mean, they take care of you. There's no doubt. I mean, when they said if there's anything we needed, let them know. I mean, they're there for every second that you need them.
Later in the show, we'll see if Gary Brown's missed opportunity cost him in his bid to make the top 10.
We're back with the first day leader, Tony Christian from Hull, Georgia. He had 8 pounds, 14 ounces yesterday, already has a 2.5 pounder in the boat. And really, Tony, you don't have to fish all that hard today, do you?
I hope I don't have to. I think I got enough based on what the 10th place finish was that should have enough to make it.
Yeah, people say you always catch big fish, and I know you've told me you don't always catch them, but you got a pretty good penchant for catching some pretty good fish.
Sometimes I think I got a knack for finding them, and that's the
hardest part, isn't it?
The finding them. That's right. Anybody, if you know they're there, can catch them. You just got to find them. And the Everstart, though, I found out that whenever you think you got a spot to yourself, look around. They find them too.
How many wins have you had in the last year and a half?
4 BFL wins, 1 region, and 1 Everstart.
You've had an incredible run. How do you explain that success, Tony?
I'm on the lake a tremendous amount of time. When I go to the tournaments, I'm usually there a week, even on the BFLs. And a lot of the anglers, they can't take off work, and that's where I get that from. But one reason I done the Everstart is because half the field in the Eastern Division is pros, and I'm doing okay with that. So if I can do okay in the FLW, I might do all right.
You're doing more than okay, and a lot of people say that you're really one of the up-and-coming stars in this sport. How do you respond when you hear something like that?
Well, I don't want to get it all in my head that I'm that, because when you get on the water, it's 0 to 0. And if you're upcoming, they don't care.
Tell me about your spinnerbait real quick and what makes it work for you, what's special about it.
It's a Ninja spinnerbait, and not many people fish a Ninja. They fish either willow blades or Colorado blades. And the Ninjas, I don't know what kind of blades they are. They're a little different from everybody else's. I just put a Zoom white trailer on it. I always put a trailer on my spinnerbait, gives it a little bit more action. This right here don't go very fast. I can fish it real slow and keep those blades turning.
Then is that the black and blue jig you caught the big one on yesterday?
As a matter of fact, it is. That's a stand-up jig with a Zoom swimming chunk.
Hours later at the weigh-in stage, it was clear the fishing was even tougher on day 2. The 45 anglers only weighed 65 fish, and some notable contenders hit the road, including local favorite Jesse Drame, six-time qualifier Curtis Samo, and FLW pro Billy Bowen, knocked out by pro JT Kenny, who ended up second and confident.
I think I only got to beat one guy. That's Tony Christian.
Not much drama about who led all qualifiers. Christian was on a roll, adding 3 more big keepers for a 16-pound, 3-ounce, 2-day total.
I don't know why I'm catching fish like I'm doing when other guys are struggling. I thought it would be closer than this.
That may be the understatement of the day. Christian's qualifying weight was topped by more than 6 pounds. Joining him and Kenny in the finals, Robert Cruz, David Wright, Bobby Lane, Gary Brown, Butch Cartez, Tim Peake, Bobby Horn, and John Lorenzo. For everyone else, time to go home.
I had a little thing going there at last, I think, but I ran out of time. I just ran out of time.
It was really tough. The water conditions had the fish turned off. It was just tough to get a bite no matter where you went. When you got a bite, you had to take advantage of every bite you got.
Tough ain't even close.
When we come back, the 10 finalists start over at 0 and fish one day for $100,000.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mobile, Alabama, and the 2003 BFL All American. As we mentioned before, 33,000 anglers nationwide in 26 divisions competed for a shot and an opportunity to get here. 45 boaters made it. 10 finalists surround the stage. Those finalists made what we call the Poland cut. Let's meet our finalists right now. Our first finalist is competing in his 6th year in the BFL. He qualified for the All-American through the Northeast Division with a 5th place finish in the regional. One big fish Friday was good enough to secure his slot in his first ever All-American. From Kane, Pennsylvania, John Lorenzo. Our next finalist was a top 10 angler from the Colorado River Division and qualified for the All-American by winning the Western Regional. He has 8 BFL top 10s. Consistent fishing earned him a slot in today's final. From Lake Havasu City, Arizona, Bobby Horn. Our next finalist qualified through the Chevy Wildcard with a 4th place finish in his first year in the BFL. He's currently 4th in the season standings of the Bulldog Division. From Sharpsburg, Georgia, Tim Peake. Our next finalist is an 8-year veteran of the BFL competing in 5 divisions. He qualified through the Northeast Division and made today's final thanks to a 6-pound, 6-ounce stringer on day 1. From Kane, Pennsylvania, Butch Cartez. Our next finalist qualified through the Gulf Coast Division and proved his ability in these coastal waterways, turning in the 2nd-best stringer of day 1. He owns 6 BFL top 10s and is one of the men to beat in this final round. From Goshen, Mississippi, Gary Brown. Our next finalist qualified for the All-American in his first BFL season, coming through the Gator Division with a 2nd place finish in the regionals. His day 2 weight, just under 5 pounds, was 5th best of the field. From Lakeland, Florida, Bobby Lane. Our next finalist is in his 18th BFL top 10. He owns experience in the Everstart Series and the FLW Tour. He qualified through the Savannah River Division and turned in one of 2 5-fish limits on day 2. This is his 7th All-American. From Lexington, North Carolina, David Wright. Our next finalist is a 7-year BFL veteran who qualified through the Okie Division. Solid weights on both days 1 and 2 gave him the 3rd best qualifying weight of our 10 finalists. From Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, Robert Cruz.
Our next finalist is a veteran of the BFL, EverStart Series, and the FLW Tour, where he is already a tournament champion. This is his first All-American, having qualified through the Northeast Division. He turned in the second best weight of day 2 from Frostburg, Maryland, J.T. Kenny. Our final finalist is one of the hottest anglers on any level. He won an amazing 5 BFL events last year and added another this year. He won his qualifying regional and demonstrated his dominance in this event with the best weight of day 1 and the best of day 2. From Hull, Georgia, Tony Christian. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for our 10 finalists in the 2003 BFL All American. Coming up next on FLW Outdoors, we will begin to see how these anglers fared in the final day with $100,000 on the line. Welcome back to Mobile, Alabama, everybody. This is the 2003 BFL All American. Of our 10 finalists, 9 states are represented. Some traveled far, some did not have to travel very far at all. Taylor Carr is out in the audience with a family member who had a short drive.
Yeah, Gary Brown's from Goshen, Mississippi, and he has about 18 family members here, including his sons, Newt Hagen, and his mother, Ruby, who fishes with Gary in tournaments, and they call it, when you fish together, Team Mama. Where'd that name come from?
Probably because I'm the only mama that fishes with her son in a team tournament at home.
What reception do you get from other anglers when you and Gary show up to fish a tournament?
Great. They're real respectful to me and really enjoyable to fish with all of them.
At what age did he surpass you in fishing skill, or has he yet?
Oh, yeah, he surpassed me. He started right out of high school with his bass fishing while he was there, and he's taught me an awful lot, too.
What would it mean to him to win this event?
Oh, a dream of a lifetime.
Ruby, thank you very much. You've heard from Team Mama along with Hagen and Newt. Carlton?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have met the anglers. Now let's meet their fish.
Let the shootout begin. John Lorenzo started with a 1-pound fish, and the next 7 anglers brought up just enough to take the lead. Bobby Horn, Tim Peake, Butch Cartez, Gary Brown, Bobby Lane, David Wright, and Robert Cruz. By the time J.T. Kenny came up, the mark to beat was 2 pounds, 9 ounces.
That's it. He says one fish that weighs 1 pound, 4 ounces, not enough for J.T. Well, I'll tell you, you had him going yesterday.
Yeah, I really did, and the fish were still in there today. They just weren't taking the bait as aggressive as they were, and I had 6 or 7 fish on. No real big ones, just the same size, but they all came off. So.
Frostburg, Maryland's J.T. Kenny took off today in boat number 2. He's won $100,000 before on Lake Okeechobee on the FLW Tour. But J.T., as we were talking this morning, the BFL All American, something special.
Yeah, it really is. When I first got into organized tournament fishing, it was with the BFL leagues back in 1996. And, you know, this is the championship for that league, so that's kind of a thing that you always work towards and was one of your first dreams. And to be here fishing and be in second place going into the last day is definitely pretty neat.
Talk a little bit about the conditions that you've faced here in the All-American. High waters has forced a lot of people to change their tactics.
Yeah, you know, I was really looking forward to coming here because I grew up fishing on the Potomac River in Maryland, which is a tidal fishery just like the Mobile Delta is. And, you know, I had a lot of game plans and things that I was looking to do and ways to catch big fish. And they have just had so much rain north of here and here, actually, and it's just the water's so high and it's keeping the water dirty.
What game plan did you go to?
I just ran to the very backs of all these little marshy creeks, just looking for a little bit cleaner water. I mean, this water obviously is not clean. I mean, you can see down about a foot, but it's a lot cleaner than most of the Delta is, so. This whole All-American thing is just amazing. I can't believe how good everybody treated us, and I like to thank FLW Outdoors for putting this thing on. I mean, this is amazing. You really get to see how I guess the other half of the world lives, staying in a fancy hotel and getting to eat good every night and stuff. It's nice.
A little different from on the FLW Tour. Let's give him a great round of applause. J.T. Kenny from Frostburg, Maryland.
Tournament leader Tony Christian weighed next and took the lead on a 3-pound fish. We started the second turn around the horn with Pennsylvania's John Lorenzo, who was next to fall.
Needs a 2-pounder to jump back into the lead. There's one fish here that weighs 1 pound, 1 ounce. You're going to need at least one more.
That's it.
That's it. 1-1, not quite enough today. But, man, you've had a great event.
This is incredible. I mean, I've had the best time of my life, and I am not kidding. This is the best time of my life. As far as fishing down here, I don't know a whole lot about fishing down here, but I know that when things get flooded, bass tend to want to go in and up into the cover. And with the way it's flooded down here, your only hope is that they come down out to the edge once in a while and you get bit. I'm sure there's a pile of them back in here, 40, 50 yards. I mean, there's still 2 feet of water back in there. As you can see right here, there's a mud line. That's all clear water back in there. And clear water's been the key to this tournament. Everybody I know is fishing clear water. I guess I'm not going to get skunked.
All right, Don Lorenzo is out. 2 anglers down. 8 anglers remain. Here comes Bobby Horn from Lake Havasu City, Arizona, and he is coming up empty-handed.
Bobby is coming up without any fish. But again, what a great event you've had, Bobby.
I tell you, I'm just, I don't know, I just can't come down to earth. It's just been one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life.
Bobby Horn hadn't gotten a keeper before 11 a.m. all week. He wasn't concerned when 2 hours and 15 minutes into the day, he still didn't have one in his live well. When a fish finally struck at 9:46, he figured he was early. Horn flipped a 6-inch worm with a 3/16 ounce weight among the trees and on the edge of high grass, finding a pattern similar to that of John Lorenzo.
What I'm looking for are just little dark areas, little holes, you know, that looks like something that will hold a fish. The way this water is right here, with the current being brown, the chocolate color, you know, you see the silt and stuff coming up, it makes it pretty difficult to fish anything out, like say if you had a drop or a bank. And so I think that maybe the fish are kind of pushed up into this clear water along the edge.
All right, that's 3. Coming up next from Sharpsburg, Georgia, Tim Peake. The mark to beat still is 3 pounds. Oh no, and Tim's coming up empty-handed.
All right, it's gotten a little tough here on the second time around, Peake, but you've had a great week, Tim.
Oh, it's been fabulous. Fabulous. Y'all put on one heck of a show, and everybody that fishes BFL needs to make this their goal.
When high waters flooded his plans upriver, Georgia's Tim Peake successfully switched tactics with some good old-fashioned creek fishing.
The entire tournament I've been in here. My pre-fishing was done. Most of the areas I'd planned to fish actually were up the river. And it's flooded out. The rivers have broke the banks, flowing through the areas that I'd planned to fish in this tournament. That's where the big stringers come from on this fishery. But when it gets tough, you got to go back in these creeks. And I figured this is close to the launch. There's plenty of good fish in here. Yeah, creek fishing, you know, they might be on the bank one day and out in the middle the next. So you got to make sure you cover all the bases. If they're not on the bank, if they're not real tight to cover, then you know they didn't leave the area. They're just not on the bank, and you got to adjust. Sometimes you can pull out and get them off the bank. That's the spot here is the sunken barge. I would kiss it, but I don't know where he's been. I was hoping it wouldn't be quite as tough as it was. I was hoping to get 3 bites like I've been getting the last 2 days. I just didn't get them. So that's fishing. You know, this is what you like to do. You expect that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, 4 anglers are out. 6 finalists remain in that quest for the $100,000 first place prize. We'll get a little closer toward crowning a champion when we come back on FLW Outdoors. Welcome back to the 2003 BFL All American. Our leader is Tony Christian with a 3-pound total weight. So far, he's done that with just 1 fish.
We continued the shootout-style weigh-in with Butch Cartez enthusiastically taking the lead. Gary Brown followed and upped the mark to beat to 4 pounds, which was too much for Florida's Bobby Lane.
We're going to need another one, Bobby.
Empty.
Into the trail for him. Not enough for here, but what a great event you've had, and what a great job you've done fishing this week.
Yeah, it's an awesome experience. I had a great time out there.
There's one. Oh, that's a good one. What do you think about that? Number one. There's one. Oh, good fish, good fish, good fish. Tide's up tremendously in there. I mean, it's 2 foot, and I just had a feeling they're going to push into the very back. It's real shallow back in here. When I've been here the past 2 days, and I've been watching the depth finder all the way in, and it just started getting a little bit shallower right in here.
Lane's departure was the first of 3 in a row who could not top Gary Brown's mark. North Carolina's David Wright was next.
David Wright, world famous crankbaiter. That's not a 1.7 there. That one weighs in at 13 ounces. We're going to need some more.
That's all I got.
All he has, he is eliminated. Let's watch you in action out there on the water. David Wright.
Actually, dang, can't believe I caught a fish that big. That may be a 1.5 pounds, maybe a 2-pound fish. I don't think I've caught a fish that big.
Whew. This is David Wright from Lexington, North Carolina, a part of the world known for its crankbait fishermen. You got one fish in the boat. What kind of crankbait was that caught on, David?
It was caught on an ultra-vive crawl worm. You want to call that a crankbait?
You have said all week long you're not a fan of flipping, but you're doing pretty well in this tournament flipping.
Well, you know, if I was very efficient at flipping, I'd be flipping with my left hand, not my right hand. I wouldn't be splashing at all. And, you know, there's a few things like that that I know you should do. I don't view myself very well at. Maybe I'm an average flipper and pitcher.
You fished in a bunch of these. How do you attribute your success for making so many All-Americans?
Probably because I've fished so many BFL tournaments. I started, you know, actually fishing the BFLs when they started in the early 80s, and I found it, you know, not that difficult to make the regionals, but when it comes to making this final year-end tournament, the All-American, it's pretty difficult for me to do that. And
what's unique about you, though, is that you don't really have any desire to be a full-time pro fisherman.
A few of the guys I know have been real successful, but, ooh, I know too many of them that it just seems like more work than fun, and I just don't want it to be. I want it to be fun. If it can't be fun, I don't want to do it.
All right, we're down to our final 4 now, Charlie. Robert Cruz is coming up next out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. He weighed in 212 with his first fish, 1 pound and 4 ounces, and oh no.
And Robert says he is out of fish out there, but I know you've had a ball all week long.
This is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Every day at weigh-in, you say, I can't believe it.
It's a big surprise to me.
Oklahoma's Robert Cruz took off in boat number 3 Saturday morning. Using a Tequila Sunrise colored worm, he turned in the 3rd best weight of the qualifying round. He came up with one of the larger fish of the final round just after 10 a.m., but it was his only catch of the day. Georgia's Tony Christian weighed next and upped the mark mightily with a 4-pound, 8-ounce monster.
He is out in front, 7.5 pounds. We now go all the way over to Butch Cortez. Butch is our next angler, weighed in 3.7. We need 4 pounds and 1 ounce. 4-1.
4-1 and ran out of them. But boy, what a great event you've had.
It's been a great event. The whole week has been just phenomenal as far as the way we've been taken care of. I mean, look at this place. It's packed. It's beautiful here. It's wonderful. We love Mobile.
I know Mobile loves you too. Let's watch you in action out there on the Mobile Bay.
There are 26 divisions in the BFL. One of them, the Northeast Division, produced 3 of our 10 finalists today in the BFL All American. Another statistical anomaly, Kane, Pennsylvania, population 3,000, has 2 finalists, including Butch Cortez. And Butch, your friend John Lorenzo also making the finals. That has to be a thrill for you both.
Absolutely. We're both very good buddies from a long way back. We used to play softball together. We'd fish together more than I can count. We'd go hunting together.
Let's talk a little bit about your fishing right now. We've got some wind blowing in against the Tules. Tell us a little bit about your strategy.
Well, what we're doing is we're just looking for some of those fish that are just sitting here waiting. They're waiting for the tide. We're waiting for the tide to move, because when the tide moves, then the fish start biting.
So we're just trying to flip and hit as many places as we can hit, hopefully get us a bite or two. This wind blowing across here, maybe I'll put some of the plankton and stuff up against this shore so those bait fish can move in. Bait fish move in, big fish move in to feed on them. So we're just going fishing. Hopefully this area will produce something here this morning. There we go, Doug. How about it, Dougie? Woohoo! Hey, baby! I get to weigh in something at the weigh-in today. Mwah! How about that one? Woohoo!
Ladies and gentlemen, we are down to Tony Christian, our tournament leader, and Gary Brown is the lone challenger. One of those two anglers will win the BFL All American when we come back on FLW Outdoors. Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. This is the 2003 BFL All American, and we are down to our final two finalists. Tony Christian is our leader with 7 pounds and 8 ounces. Gary Brown is the only angler remaining who can possibly catch him. He has weighed in 4 pounds thus far. Let's go to Charlie with our leader right now.
I am with a very nervous Tony Christian who's heading here, and I don't know what the nerves are all about because, wow, what a phenom you are on the BFL. How many victories?
I have had 5 victories.
5 victories. That's kind of like David Fretz and Rick Clunn and Clark Wayland type reputation. I mean, you are awesome on the BFL.
I've had a good year last year, and it started off good this year, and I jumped up to the Everstart, and that's been good to me too. But this here is, I've never experienced nothing like this in my life.
A little nervous?
You know how nervous I am.
He's a little bit nervous out there. Let's take a look at you on video in action now here on the Mobile Bay. Tell us where you're at.
I'm in Hurricane Creek up just above the train trestle off of the Kennesaw River.
How far up's that?
I think it's about 15, 20 miles up.
Oh, that one there ate it up.
That one ate it good. Is that today? Yeah, I thought I'd lost him, and then the rope nearly knocked my head off. There he comes up right there. I see how big it is. I'm grabbing for the net. There she is.
Feeling good about that time then.
That right there was, that's the 4 pound, 8 ounces right there.
Good fish that puts you up in the lead, but we got another guy that's got a chance to knock you out of the leader here. Again, $100,000 at stake. That's a lot of money.
It's a tremendous amount of money, fishing and winning money. I love fishing. I do it for free.
I'll tell you what, he's going to do more than do it for free. Were you to win this event, and again, we're down to 2, were you win this event, what about fishing the Walmart FLW Tour?
I'm hitting it wide open next year.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
Tony Christian, a little nervous. We'll go to Carlton Wing and see how our other competitors doing.
All right, this is Goshen, Mississippi's Gary Brown. Gary, all along, you've had a strong cheering section. They didn't have to travel too far to cheer you on, and you have not let them down. You have been right in the thick of things all week.
It's been tough. The river being so high. If the river would have been down right, it would have been a lot different story. This fishery is a lot better than what it's showing this week. But the way I grew up fishing, I mean, this just fit me to a T. I couldn't have wrote the script better.
We have had a lot of rain here in the last little while, and that has brought the water levels up, and it really eliminated a lot of water because a lot of anglers were going to possibly make a run north. Everybody stayed close. You stayed close. In fact, you were very close. Turned into a pretty nice weight on day 1.
Yeah, I fished Bay Minette area the first 2 days, and today I went to an area I hadn't even been to. It's kind of, like I said, it worked out about like I wanted it to, and I went to Bayou Sarah today.
All right, let's take a look at you out on the water today. Tell us a little bit about what's been working so effectively for you. What technique are you using right here?
I throw a buzz bait all day today. I believe I caught 8 keepers today. I threw an 1/8 ounce bulldog buzz bait with a 5-inch grub, and I threw a 1/4 ounce strip teaser buzz bait.
All righty. You trail our leader by 3 pounds and 9 ounces. You ready to find out who's the champion of the 2003 BFL All American? All right, let's set the stage now. Our challenger is Gary Brown. Gary must bring up at least 3 pounds and 9 ounces to take the lead and put the heat on Tony Christian. If he is unable to do so, Tony Christian will be our champion. Gary, let's bring up your last fish.
He needs 3.9 or Tony Christian will be our champion. 3 pounds, 9 ounces, a good fish here, but I don't think that's enough. This fish weighs in at 2 pounds, 1 ounce. We have a champion and another huge fish.
Tony Christian, still with Fished Away, is the winner of the All-American.
Still had one more huge fish up there. A huge fish that he didn't eat, but this one weighs in at 6 pounds, 8 ounces. We have a champion. Wow.
Unbelievable. I don't know what to say. I fished hard all week. I wasn't catching a lot of fish, but I was catching quality fish. I was like Bobby Lane here. He had a spot. He said he caught 7 fish in a row. I didn't catch 7 in a row, but I caught 3 in a row. But mine just happened to be really quality fish. And I'm just thankful to be here and with the Walmart BFL. It was a dream of mine to come here and fish. And then to win, that's just awesome.
That win wins you $100,000 and also guarantees you a slot in the Walmart FLW Tour for 2004.
Yes, and I'll be going. Like I said earlier, I'm going just as fast as I can. I can't wait till it gets here. I'm gonna go while I'm doing good.
He is doing good.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the hottest anglers in the country. Let's come forward here. I would say it's a hot check. I guarantee you'll be able to cash it. $100,000. Ladies and gentlemen, here's your champion. A standing ovation from a crowd that knows they're fishing here in Mobile, Alabama, for a champion who braved the elements and dominated this field.
What are you going to do with $100,000?
I'm going to buy my baby some shoes.
Buy his baby some shoes.
Let's take one final look at our leaderboard now. Once again, your champion from Hull, Georgia, Tony Christian, finishes in first place, followed by Gary Brown, Bobby Lane, Butch Cartez, and David Wright. That's your top 5. Then it's Robert Cruz, John Lorenzo, J.T. Kenny, Tim Peake, and Bobby Horn. Thank you once again for watching FLW Outdoors, your newest champion in the BFL All American. Tony Christian, we'll see plenty more from him on the FLW Tour next year. Thanks for watching this week on FLW Outdoors.